Something very different this year at Show Village was the BASF Beyond High Performance Home. We're going to find out what makes this home so unique next on Behind the Build, presented by LP SmartSide. We're outside the Beyond High Performance Home by BASF, and I'm with Jamie Hicks. Jamie, you're with BASF, and you're one of the project managers here. You're one of the guys that's kind of helping see this entire process through. This is unique for you guys, and this is unique to Show Village. You're doing an entire home by yourself as BASF. You guys have a learning center, and then you're taking a tour of the different homes. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's different in several ways. So the homes are not a product in and of themselves, but they feature many of the products that we have interest or science in. And what is also different for Show Village is the fact that we have a tour that goes through two homes that are identical. One of the homes is in the midst of being constructed, and the other one is finished. And so as the tour goes through, you get to move through the cutaway home or the unfinished home, and you get to see what's behind all the paint and drywall, all those things that are concealed. And so we touch on all of the insulation, the water barriers, moisture and heat management efficiencies, and you get to see all of that come together before you tour through the finished home.
So we're going to go through, now this is the unfinished home. Now this is what they'll see. They'll see an unfinished home, and this was even more unfinished just days ago. How difficult is it to make an unfinished home appear unfinished?
Appear unfinished. It's actually quite a challenge. We had to work quite closely with Clark County Fire and the permitting folks to make sure that we were able to keep life safety as a focus in our exhibit, but also be able to expose some of the materials that are typically covered with fire retardant materials. And so as you can see, we've got foams, which are fabulous from a thermal protection standpoint, but are not meant to be exposed.
And then you have some cutaways over here as well, some advanced framing. Is that accurate?
Yes, this allows our visitors to see down in the crawl space and see how we can insulate the crawl space. In other words, instead of having your floor insulated, you insulate the walls. It's much less area to insulate, and then it brings up the temperature of your crawl space into the conditioned envelope.
So from an education standpoint then, this type of home showcases not only efficiency and energy and the construction process itself, but really all the steps that go into building a home. Now, for you guys, there's even more steps because you're building this on a parking lot.
That's right. We actually had these manufactured off-site, and then we brought them in as a trailer, and that's mobile display. But this home is staged in sequences, as you can see here. We've got our Neopor, which is a rigid foam insulation, and we move into the closed cell foam, and then as we continue to walk through, we've got the open cell over it. And so this is the sequence that you would actually build the home in to have a high-performance wall. All right, if you look on the floor, you'll see where we've marked out the hot water plumbing loop, and what that does is, at the touch of a button, it will circulate the hot water through the plumbing of the house so that when you turn on your faucet, you have hot water there immediately instead of having to wait the typical 30 seconds or 60 seconds while you waste water, it goes down the drain, and before you get your hot water. And then above us, we've got a very high efficient air handler and mechanical unit for the home that's paired with the condenser outside.
Now, Jamie, when you talk about 4 months ago and your thought process of how are we going to showcase this stuff effectively and how are we going to be able to show it from old and unfinished to the finished version, what was going through your mind?
Well, it's a very unique opportunity to be able to sequence the tour that we're gonna take the visitors through, and that informs a lot of the architecture and a lot of what we have done here, from the markings on the floor to the exposed mechanical unit overhead, and that was very challenging to bring everybody together and to condense or distill our thoughts into a cohesive unit that now we're standing in. So that's been quite a process.
And everybody had to be on the same page from minute one.
Yes, as you can imagine, with maybe 20 stakeholders, that was an effort.
I can assume, and we're going to see that effort in its finality here in just a second when we go through the finalized version of this home. As you see it in its unfinished state, in a second after the break, we're going to see it in its finished state. This is Behind the Build, Professional Builders Show Village, brought to you by LP SmartSide.
Well, the thing is that this is what everybody sees at the show. They're seeing the final product. What they don't know is the 6 months of work and preparation, planning, and execution that went into this. For instance, if you look at the house, that house was designed by an architect in Seattle. It was built by a builder in Utah. and about a couple weeks ago they started bringing down the pieces and parts. That sounds easy to say, but if you think about all the planning, all the details, the negotiations, that's a lot of work. But the thing is, it all comes together at the end. It makes a beautiful showcase for the products. Our customers come walking through, they're amazed at the products. They're even more amazed when you tell them about the process that everything is involved to get to this final stage.
All right, we're back now from behind the build. So we just went through the unfinished, now we're gonna go through the finished version.
That's right.
All right, Jamie, this looks very different. So we were just in the unfinished, now we're in the finished. This is now all of a sudden a room. What it was the corner that we were standing in is now a full finished bedroom.
That's right. The tour goes back to back, so we are where we last were in the cutaway home, or in the unfinished home rather. And you'll notice that everything's nice and quiet. We've got that spray insulation in the walls. We also have sound absorbing drywall throughout the finished home.
So Jamie, in the unfinished version and now into this version, with the design elements, you probably had a lot to think about. How do we make something look unique, cool, and worthwhile over there, and then bring it to life here in the finished version?
That's right. We wanted to highlight our products, but mostly our process. And so we had to make very specific selections of materials, manufacturers, and finishes so that we presented the kind of just exactly the right design aesthetic and interior air quality or interior environment that we wanted to promote as BASF.
Now, when you were building and when you were conceptualizing and thinking about having an unfinished and a finished version, what was the first thing that you thought, okay, this is going to be a big challenge for me because I'm going to have to do this?
Well, most of the challenges, to be honest, were next door because of the cutaway nature. In here, it's hopefully we're going to have folks that come through and understand that what they walked through now has been completed, and this is what they would possibly see themselves living in, and would feel very comfortable for them.
Well, Jamie, you guys have done a great job with it. It looks great, the unfinished and the finished. It was a challenge, but you guys pulled it off very, very well.